Quilty is brought to you by
Baby Lock. Baby Lock sewing and long arm machines. From piecing to long arming for the love of sewing. Aurifil. Aurifil Italian thread. Perfectly suited for all your quilting projects. Dear Stella. A unique fabric brand with modern style. Fairfield. Together, we can make beautiful things. Hovels Sewing. Cut to the point with Hovels Sewing. Moda. Make something quilty with Moda fabrics. Northcott. Cottons that feel like silk. Omnigrid. Providing quilters with specialty rulers and accessories for over 30 years. Hello, thanks for watching Quilty. This week I have my friend and colleague, Sarah Gallegos.
Thanks for having me.
You know, it's your first time on Quilty, but we have worked together many times.
Yes.
On Love of Quilting.
I'm excited to be here.
I'm glad you did. You came in from St. Louis and...
Michigan.
Oh, that's right, Michigan.
Yep.
We know each other really well. No, we really do. We really do. So I brought you on today to talk about machine turn binding. Yeah. A lot of people will have their binding, they'll put it on the front. They'll stitch it down with their machine. But my mom included. So there's many people who will hand turn it because they just like the feeling of that. But sometimes you're in a rush. And sometimes you don't want to mess around with that hand turn binding and stitching it. It sounds so nice to sit for hours and do it. But Sarah, can you tell us why and how to machine turn binding and some different techniques?
Yeah, definitely. I don't really have the patience for the hand thing. I'm kind of a little busy sometimes. So I think it's so much fun to take that binding as a great opportunity to showcase some of the deco stitches on the machines. Because our machines have so many decorative stitches. They're so much fun to play with. So I would love to show you how I do that.
This one is a great example.
On this quilt, I sewed it on to the back and flipped it to the front and just used a little serpentine kind of little zigzaggy
I'm going to show that
stitch.
Really.
Yeah,
that's really cool. And I'm going to show the back too.
Yep.
So you use different bobbin thread.
Yes.
From the top thread.
So I wanted to use the blue on the top to kind of match the majority of the quilt, and then the entire back was green, so I used the green in the back. And I just kind of centered the stitching over the back side, but it's completely on the binding on the front.
Awesome. I have to tell you, I've never thought about changing the bobbin thread to be different on the back. Wow.
Yeah, well, when you're using really great quality machines, you don't have to worry about your bobbin thread coming up to the top. You can totally use contrasting colors.
Exactly, exactly. Okay, how about this one?
Okay, so this one, my first go at it, my first quilt ever, so it's not exactly perfect, but I like this one because I used a little flower stem stitch, and the entire quilt was trees, so I thought it was kind of logical to use, leaves and stems.
I'm going to turn it to the back here and show right there. That looks really, really good. This was your first quilt ever?
Yeah. So on that one, I sewed it onto the back and flipped it to the front. And I used an extra wide binding, so I centered the stitch on the front, and then on the back, it's just completely off. So it kind of gives you this little row of stitching on the back side.
I think that looks really cool.
Something
Awesome.
different.
Okay, yeah, something different. Okay, so this next one, another deco stitch. I like that lingo, the deco stitch. Short for decorative, of course. If you don't know, you never know. Okay, so yeah, this is like a Greek key or something like that.
I kind of broke some rules on this one. I don't always follow the thread rules. I used a rayon, an embroidery thread, just because it was the color that I wanted.
Yeah.
And this I've had for a long time, and I've washed it, and it still stays just fine. So
it's really good.
Just kind of fun to play with.
Yeah, super fun. And it's almost, is it metallic? Or it's just that rayon?
It's just the sheen to the rayon.
Shines.
It's the same one that I used in the embroideries when I quilted it. So I actually quilted it with embroidery with rayon too. So
cool.
Yeah.
When I saw this one, I was like, oh, this has been washed a lot. And I loved it. Okay, one more. And this is the technique we're going to show with these clips. And so this is just kind of a wiggle stitch. And now we get into the demo part. So what are the clips good for?
The clips are great for holding your binding in place. So after you've sewn the first side on, and this one I actually serged on the first side, which is, again, kind of not following the rules, but a fun, fast way to do it because I love sergers.
Rule breaker.
Yeah, pretty much. So on this one, yeah, you can use the clips just to kind of, I sewed it onto the back, I pressed it toward the front, and then I used the clips just to hold everything steady. Awesome. Sometimes I'll use a Wonder Tape or a Steam-a-Seam also just to kind of stick it in place or fuse it in place. Or you can always use these handy little clips.
So this, this tape would go, and it's double-sided.
Yep.
So you take a piece of this, I mean, obviously a bit longer piece, and use it to stick it down like that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Cool. Great.
So you can do it either way. The clips are a little bit faster, but with the tape, you can really, really get it exactly perfect.
Cool.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, we've got that little placemat. So let me just kind of show us what you're going to do here on the machine.
All right. So here I've sewn the binding on, just like I normally would with a 1/4-inch seam, and mitered my corners. And I've pressed it from the front toward the back. And then I would just line it up so that the edge of my binding is right along my stitching line. And that's what's going to give you perfect centering of your stitches.
Cool.
And we can just kind of clip it in place.
Or that would be the time you'd use the tape.
Or you could use a tape. Yep, either one.
Or glue, as we learned on glue basting. Elmer's glue, seriously.
Elmer's glue.
Glue basting and glue doing sewing curves.
Yeah.
And you can use it on binding too, right? Yeah, you can use it on binding. It's amazing because it's washable. It seriously works. I'll show you. I'll show you after the show.
I've seen the glue stick, but I've
totally
never heard of using the
incredible.
Elmer's.
It's incredible. It's changing. It's life changing.
I'll give it a whirl.
Yeah.
You know I like quick.
Oh yeah, breaking rules.
That's right. That's right. All right, cool.
Okay.
Stick another one on there.
Great. And you selected a deco stitch, right?
I did. I picked the little like wobbly stitch that's in the melody. That'd be kind of cute to show.
Yeah.
So because we obviously want it to be perfect on the front more so than the back, I usually typically work from the front.
Yeah.
Just to ensure perfection.
Good tip.
Yeah. So we've got a nice bright thread in here just so that we can see.
Probably wouldn't use red on this. You could, but we're going to show you with red so you can see.
And we can kind of make some choices. You could either go right along the actual binding strip, or I think it's kind of fun to center it over the actual ditch of the binding,
totally.
and that way you know it's definitely centered front to back. And I always try to make sure that I know the composition of the stitch, like how it stitches, where it ends, the side-to-side motion, so that I know how to turn a corner, because you want to be careful of where the stitch is at when you're turning corners.
Right, where the needle swings, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And you
Take
could
clip
use
out
a,
before
oh
we get
yeah,
to
right. Don't sew over the clip.
Don't sew over the clip.
You could use a walking foot. You could use your patchwork foot. Well, not really. Probably not the patchwork foot for this. That is really, really cute.
I just want to look through there. We're working with an open toe foot, which is nice because you can really see exactly where your stitches are landing, and you can see the fabric as you get to it.
Great.
Your visibility is not blocked.
Great. Okay, so that is adorable. So if you could take it out and just see the back, just for fun. Love that thread cutter.
I do too.
It's the best.
Time saver.
Yeah, totally. So yeah,
Just kind of centered over the back.
you pull it out here. Yeah, it's super, super cute. And it's done. It's really done quickly. Sarah, thank you so much. We saw some great examples and a great demo for machine-turned binding. Come back again, yeah?
I will, for sure.
Excellent. Bye.
Quilty is brought to you by
Baby Lock. Baby Lock sewing and long arm machines. From piecing to long arming for the love of sewing. Aurifil. Aurifil Italian thread. Perfectly suited for all your quilting projects. Dear Stella. A unique fabric brand with modern style. Fairfield. Together, we can make beautiful things. Hovels Sewing. Cut to the point with Hovels Sewing. Moda. Make something quilty with Moda fabrics. Northcott. Cottons that feel like silk. Omnigrid. Providing quilters with specialty rulers and accessories for over 30 years.